has like one mum friend who's like in on the goss at school, and she knew that I was away, and immediately she comes up to me. She's like, "How was your trip?" And I was like, I've just got back now. And she was like, "Yes, I love this for you. Like, tell me the highlights." And My name is Abby, and I'm the voice behind the Evolving Love Project. In this podcast, my husband and I deep dive into the topics of non-monogamy and polyamory, drawing from our experiences of being consensually non-monogamous for almost a decade.
And my name is Liam. Whether you're monogamous, polyamorous, curious, or anything in between, we invite you to join us for this conversation.
Let's begin. Okay, here we are.
We are here, another episode of the Evolving Love Podcast.
Sitting next to my husband, who has very big starry eyes.
Yes.
The NRE is
Look,
in full force
I
for you.
feel pretty NRE'd at the moment.
Yes.
It is definitely surging through my veins.
Surging through your veins.
Maybe that's a bit dramatic.
Yeah.
But I feel I've got a spring in my step.
You sure do.
Yeah.
And it's a nice thing. You've been very smiley the past little while.
I have been.
And you have lots of energy. You went for a big run yesterday while our son was riding his bike.
Yeah, I suddenly have all this extra energy to burn off, which is great.
It is interesting how that works. And I often feel the same when I have NRE. It's like I'm just full of energy. I want to work out. I'm like busy. I'm happening. I'm like just bursting with life. So yeah, it's pretty much an exciting thing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I've been loving it, and we had a little getaway with some friends, and hence the NRE. Yeah, so kind of my phone's blowing up, and I'm loving it. There's lots of messages coming through. It's funny. It's funny when the messages come through in strange places. Like I was on the way to pick up our son from school, and then as soon as I arrived, I got into the car park, and then a cute little message comes through, and I'm like, oh, okay.
I'm sure it wasn't cute. I'm sure it was hot.
It was very hot. It was also kind of, we'd already been chatting a little bit at that point, but being very well behaved, and because Canberra has just brought in fines for any drivers who touch their phone, and they've got all these crazy phone detection things now. I can't even, squeeze a glance down at my phone.
No, but you have always been a very safe driver.
I have
it's not
been.
like you're driving
I'm not
around with NRE, checking your phone, replying to messages.
Yeah, no, I'm not live streaming, sexcapades on my phone whilst driving.
No. You're a very, very safe person.
Yes, yeah. So it had already been in full swing. So it was kind of like this. I knew I had to wait, for 20 minutes to check this message, because it came through kind of pretty soon after I got into the car and then started driving, and then it was like bing. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to wait for this. And then I got to the school pickup, and I'm sitting in the car park, and then suddenly I get to check it out.
Such an interesting duality there. It's like dad at school pickup, you're married, doing that. You've got that whole life, but then also there's this little bit of excitement happening as well.
A lot of excitement happening.
A lot of excitement
happening. So yes, no, that was definitely put a spring in my step as I went into the schoolyard to pick up our son. So yeah, it was very fun. And then I had so much energy as a result of this texting that I was like, I'd packed the bike. I was like, got to go for a run. We're going to do this whole thing. Ended up going for this epic, long kind of jog and bike ride. So yeah.
How many Ks?
I don't know. It was rookie numbers. I don't want to. I know some people who listen to this podcast, some friends of ours in particular, who are very big runners, and so we all follow each other on Strava, and it's the kind of thing where like I'll post, my kind of minimal attempts at these big runs, and it'll be like 8Ks or something, and then I'll see theirs, and it's like 50Ks. I just woke up and decided to go for a quick little jog, But I think this one was I think it was 8Ks.
Yeah.
So I felt puffed at the end of it. I felt like I'd run off some of my excess energy.
But still more energy to keep the texting going.
Look, there's plenty of energy.
If it came in.
There's always energy to reply. Yes, indeed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So that's what's been going on. So the last few weeks I've been floating around floating around. And we've also
Beautiful.
been having a lot of fun in between as well. You and I. We've been getting up to
Oh.
mischief, just you and I.
Am I the in-between, am I?
Look, no, you're the constant, baby.
I'm the constant.
You're the constant.
Well, I was about to ask
You're
how
the center of the solar system.
am I? I love
Yes,
this.
yeah.
How do you feel towards me when you're in like the full throes of NRE with a new lover?
Ooh, good question.
Like
I
where
would
do I
say-
then do I go down
Well,
or do I go up or do I go the same or am I sort of like where do I sit?
Well, I would say your perception might be different to what I feel. So how I feel is that I actually feel because I'm so happy in general.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like floating around, as I said before. I feel like that transfers into, how I'm feeling about you within our relationship. I feel like there's a direct correlation between me feeling all fancy free and then how I'm feeling towards you. I would say that you might think that I'm distracted, potentially. Like because I definitely, I'll check my phone every now and again and I'll go, oh, okay, things are happening. But I would say that I feel very connected. It doesn't feel like when that kind of stuff is going on that it replaces anything that I feel for you. Like even this morning, we recorded this podcast. We recorded a podcast with Molly, Roden Winter, and her husband, which will be coming out this month probably. But even after that, we had this amazing chat with them. And then afterwards, I was like, I'm so horny for you. I just felt like maybe it was like the energy of the conversation with them. Like, so even though I'm kind of in this, there's this fun stuff bubbling away, like my desire to connect with you is still really strong.
Well, I wouldn't say that I notice that you are distracted. I feel like you're always quite present.
Yeah.
But you're busy and you're doing things on your phone anyway. Other things you have work and you have different things going on that you're up to. So it's not like I notice that you're always texting someone. I'm not
True.
I'm not in there reading your messages. If anything, I actually know when you're in the full swing of NRE because you actually make a real conscious effort to like love me up a little bit extra sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you'll start doing these like extra little nice things for me or you'll be, just like coming up and giving me a hug or you're like, oh, I really love you. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Well, I did buy you some, is this about the Ugg boots?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, I did buy you some Ugg boots yesterday because they were... I was like, I saw them and I was like, I feel like Abby would love these. But it was I don't know if I didn't consciously relate that to any feelings of NRE. But yeah, I mean, definitely there's I would say that there's a link for sure.
Well, it makes me think about men who have affairs and then they come home with like flowers for their wife or like a necklace or like maybe they feel a little bit guilty or something. So they're like, oh, I've got to like give some extra attention to my wife now because I've been, my attentions have been somewhere,
Been a dirty dog.
somewhere else. But I
Yeah.
wonder if this is like, but I don't think that you feel any guilt when you have NRE.
I don't feel any guilt at all. I think it's more related to a sense of happiness.
Yeah.
So it's like if you feel full, if your cup is full, I feel like the overfloweth effect, is a great one.
Beautiful. So I'm enjoying the overflow.
Let's just keep on filling the cup.
The leftovers, the overflow.
No, you get to have the cup. You get to have all of the cup, but there's just extra stuff flowing out that you also get to have.
Yeah.
You're just getting filled up from the floweth.
I love it.
Yeah.
Fill me up, baby.
Yeah, always.
How do you feel like I am when I've got NRE?
Ooh, good question. I would say it's a very similar thing to me.
Yeah.
I would say it's quite similar. I would say, you love texting as well. So like you love like that NRE connection building kind of texting thing. I noticed that in a similar way to me, like we both feel very like physically active within our bodies. Like that's how it manifests for us, I think, is like, we're just like, let's go to the gym. Let's like, let's just feel like really in tune.
We go for family runs.
Yes.
So we're running and our
Yes.
son is riding his bike.
Yeah, that's our thing.
And I think when we both have NRE, we just keep on running.
we don't stop. we just do multiple laps of the lake.
You've said some really funny things to me in the past when we've been on runs.
Oh God.
Like I'll be like running away and,
Oh, yep.
and then I'm like, I'm getting a bit puffed and I'm like slowing down and you're like, babe, got to do it. Think of those selfies you're going to send. And I'm like, okay, yep, I'm going to keep on going. And you're like, yep. Or like, think about next weekend when you're having a date or something. And it does. It gives me that extra boost.
Yeah. And I'd be lying to say that it doesn't make you feel more motivated to work out as well.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a reason why people that we know who've been in non-monogamous relationships for, maybe 20 years or something like that, they all look amazing, because the reality is that they want to kind of like be involved with other people as well, whether that's sexually, whether that's romantically, like they feel some sense of like, I'm not going to phone it in.
And I think that's not necessarily, in the sense of weight or anything like that. It's just
not
like
at all.
general like life sort of happiness, buzz, like doing things for yourself that feel good, like dressing in a way that feels nice, like just having that. It's like, having your glow.
Yeah, it's like a big glow up.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
And it's also a reminder for people to kind of like reinvest into themselves, which I think is really important. And that's what that kind of feels like for me. It's like, all this added excitement. And I mean, it's funny because we're in a lucky position where I would say, have a lot of excitement going on just between you and I.
We do.
So whenever there's other things happening, it's kind of just like, it really is that old, classic, having your cake and eating it too, like that type of thing. Like it really feels like there's a lot of cake.
Yeah,
You know
it
what I mean?
does. It does. But I think you also have to be in the right headspace for the cake too.
Especially for you. Yeah.
Especially for me.
Yeah.
Have to be in the right headspace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm into cake eating at the moment.
You are.
I like all the delicious little cakes from, not just necessarily from Canberra. So, it's great. It's great. You're just laughing at me because I'm NRE.
I know. That's like just such an NRE thing to say.
Yeah.
We had a convo night the other night, which was amazing.
We did.
And it was packed out.
Yes. Yeah, it was a big one.
It was very big, but a very considerate group of people.
Yes.
It was very nice.
Yeah. And it was a really beautiful mixture of people who had never been to a convo night before.
Yes.
And people who are coming back, for the gazillionth time, which is awesome.
I know, it is so lovely. We did have a funny thing where we had a new person come along, and when I asked how they found out about Evolving Love Project, she said, a person.
To keep
who
on
I
listening
know.
to this premium episode of the Evolving Love podcast, you can sign up to our premium subscriber feed at evolvingloveproject.substack.com.
Paid subscribers receive 2 extra podcast episodes each month and access to my full writing archive. So if you would like to gain exclusive access, you can sign up at the link in the show notes or at evolvingloveproject.substack.com.